She asked me one of the questions, which was, when you see another person crying, does that make you want to cry? And I immediately side-eyed this bitch, like, what the fuck kind of bitch-ass nigga do you think I am? Like, the fuck you mean, does it make me want to cry? No, it doesn't make me want to cry. Why would I want to cry because I see someone else cry? That's weird. That's like watching someone jump off a cliff and then automatically thinking like, yo, I really want to do that next. That seems like so interesting. I don't really care. I don't really care. What the fuck is a righteous glory? If you've seen the channel name before, then you already know who I am. Now, I know I said that the last setup was going to be my setup, but of course, I'm not really reliable when it comes to things like that, so we are somewhere different now. Back to the green screen. Sometimes I'll have it up, sometimes I'll be standing, maybe sometimes I might even be laying down and just talking to you guys. But nonetheless, I'm here, and we're gonna be talking about something that's been really weird for me, and like something I really don't understand, but I felt like talking about it. Emotions are those things that are just really random. They kind of sneak up on you, and whenever they do, I really just don't get it. Like, what the fuck is this? I think a lot. So when I try and think in context of thinking and emotions, they don't fit together. I know that it's part of like being human, but that shit, I just don't understand it. There are always those people that are like extremely compassionate and sympathetic, and I can be compassionate in a different way, in the sense that I can understand by thinking with logic or thinking in context of what you're going through. That's how I can be compassionate. That's how I can be sympathetic or empathetic. But most people, when they talk about like, I can feel your pain, I can't feel your pain, bro. I don't feel your pain. I really don't. Like, that's weird. It has to make some kind of rational sense to me, even if it is irrational, because there are irrational things that can make rational sense, if that makes rational sense. A lot of people mistaken me for this robot who's incapable of feeling emotions, when in reality, I have emotions. I just don't fucking understand them. So you will not see me express them the same way that most people do. Sometimes I think that they're broken, because I could be extremely happy and I could look like this. And most people don't get it. I'm really bad at expression too. Like, that's another thing about me. I'm really bad at expressing anything. Like, I'm really bad at expression. And that's part of why I even do these videos to begin with. It was to help me get better at expressing myself and being open and honest, and I guess vulnerable. I don't like that word because it makes me cringe, and you know, it's just but I'm usually only this witty and comedic when I feel up to it. Majority of the time I'm like super serious, and I don't really make many jokes. I'm only playful when I'm around certain people or I'm in a certain mood. It has to be right, like how I'm feeling, ironically, before I can actually be this way. But my problem is I always end up overthinking, overanalyzing, or just straight up overlooking something. I try and apply logic to emotions, and those two things don't really mix well, especially when it comes to other people's emotions. And I have some examples too. Let's start with the first one. So a while back, my mom's boyfriend bought her this giant ass TV because, you know, he likes to get gifts. He's a gift giver. So he bought her this giant ass 72-inch flat screen TV because he thought, you know, she would like something like that. Who wouldn't like a fucking TV? And she was mad at him because she is not very over the top. So she came in my room, and because she was mad at him, she told me, if he comes, to not let him in. At the time, I could not see that she was mad at him, so my immediate response to something like that was, so you're just gonna leave him outside with the TV? And she got mad at me again, and she just kind of told me to just leave her alone. And I really did not understand what the fuck was going on. I was so confused and so lost. And later on, she ended up telling me that when she's in those states of beings, to just leave her alone and let her kind of be. And I still don't really know how to deal with those situations, because I can't help but be completely honest with people when they tell me stuff, or when they make statements that seem really irrational or just not cool or not reasonable, when they're like feeling a certain type of way. In my mind, the way I processed what she said was something like, yeah, I'm gonna go take a shower without water because I'm mad at the landlord for asking me for rent money when the rent is due. It's completely different situations, but both make no sense. And I really did not know how to deal with that shit. Another example, not too long ago, I hosted a virtual open mic. Yes, I know that sounds weird, but quarantine was a thing during the time. So yes, it was a virtual open mic. Teens and kids, I should say, came out to this virtual Zoom link, and they kind of just spit something, sang something, or did a poem or a spoken word or something. There was this point during one of the open mics where it got really like sentimental, and everyone kind of started breaking down crying, including some of the other hosts and other like some of my other coworkers that were working there with me. It was really weird. After like 10 minutes of everyone crying and being mushy, I was just like, okay, well, Moving on. Does anyone else want to share? And for the longest, after I said that, the people that worked with me then constantly would make fun of me and say stuff like I'm a robot and I don't feel nothing, and everyone could be crying and fucking angry, like some crazy shit could be happening, and I'm just like, well, yeah. So look at the time, you know, we have to keep it moving. And honestly, I don't see a problem with that, because what the fuck else are we gonna do? Sit there and cry? I didn't know what to do. Everyone's crying, and I honestly did not understand how we got there, so I just try to act like it didn't happen. And the last example, a girl that I was with or talking to or whatever you want to call it recently was taking like a personality test, right? She asked me one of the questions, which was, when you see another person crying, does that make you want to cry? And I immediately side-eyed this bitch, like, what the fuck kind of bitch ass nigga do you think I am? Like, the fuck you mean, does it make me want to cry? No, it doesn't make me want to cry. Why would I want to cry because I see someone else cry? That's weird. That's like watching someone jump off a cliff and then automatically thinking like, yo, I really want to do that next. That seems like so interesting. I don't really care. I don't really care. What I actually responded with was, I guess it depends on the situation. Like, yeah, if I kind of understand where you're coming from or it makes sense, then I might feel a little bit sad for you, I guess. But if it doesn't make any sense or it's just like some random fucking person crying in the middle of the street, I'm gonna just be like, nigga, cry at home. The fuck is you crying outside for? She then laughed at me and said I was mean, which I still don't really understand, because crying at home seems pretty logical to me. And honestly, that would be my solution and what I would tell them if they asked me what they should do. One thing I love about this channel is I've definitely gotten better at understanding my own emotions and other people's emotions, because I really suck at that shit. But being able to reflect and look back at things just kind of puts a smile on my face each time when I'm able to solve a problem or realize that, okay, maybe 2 things can be true at once. Maybe 3 things can be true at once. Maybe I wasn't wrong in how I acted or how I reacted, but maybe they weren't either. I've been really trying to understand how to really just feel and process instead of trying to think and analyze. And that's something I really struggle with. I have a horrible time being just still in the present moment, because I always have to be moving and doing something, and my mind is always running. It's inevitable. I can't escape that shit. Majority of the time, I don't deem feelings or emotions to be reasonable or even valid. Like, I think that they're very unreliable, so I just kind of disregard them. But I guess that's what leads me sometimes to like having these really weird and strange emotional outbursts and just kind of snapping, and just like you just see everything and hear everything and you wonder, how the fuck did we get here? Like, why the fuck are we here right now? I do it all the time, but I guess that's because I don't pay enough attention to how I'm actually feeling, or if I do, I start thinking too much and making the feeling a lot worse. I don't know, maybe I shouldn't have posted this video because it makes me look like a bitch and I'm kind of content with my toxic masculinity. But who knows? Emotions are weird and I don't understand them. And quite frankly, I probably never will.